I'm John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and this is Mail Call Mondays, the show that answers your questions about precision rifles, optics, and equipment. Welcome to Mail Call Mondays. Thank you for letting me hang out with you guys. We've got some questions to answer here, and the first one comes from Charles, and Charles asks, do you think a lot of shooters buy more equipment than they need, solving software issues with hardware, such as buying a gun that can shoot way better than they will ever put the time in to become? Range toys and bragging rights are a thing, but in my opinion, most are better served by time spent shooting and learning rather than spending and posting about it. Well, Charles, I don't totally disagree with you. There are a lot of really affordable rifles out there that have the capability to put a shooter or to support a shooter in winning a precision rifle competition. If the shooter gets that piece of equipment, goes out and really spends time training with it, learning the equipment, learning its strengths and weaknesses, and then playing to those strengths, then generally they will be better served than just switching up and buying the newest, latest, and greatest rifle every season or every month, depending upon what your budget is. So there is quite a bit of truth in that. I think a lot of our viewers are probably scraping together pennies from under the couch cushions to put together a basic solid rig that they can take out to the range and have a whole lot of fun with. But I also do realize that we have quite a few viewers that are able to drop some serious coin on equipment. And a lot of it is, what do you enjoy? There are some guys that I know that have perfectly serviceable cars sitting in their driveway or sitting in their garage, or maybe several perfectly serviceable cars sitting in their garage, and they see the latest and greatest, the brand new shiny model come out, and they have to go get the brand new shiny model. And it's because that's what they enjoy doing. They're financially secure, their bills are getting paid, the kids are getting fed, all that stuff, so they can afford to do that. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. If you work hard for your cash and all your responsibilities are taken care of, then go out and buy the latest and greatest stuff. But in this sport, you definitely cannot buy skill. If you want to be the best, then you have to take a piece of equipment and you have to put in the time to learn that piece of equipment. One thing I have definitely found in this job is that it is very, very hard to hone that razor's edge skill when you are constantly switching equipment. I find that with what I'm doing, very often when I'm going out to the range, I'm shooting a different piece of equipment than I was the last time I went out to the range. It makes it very, very difficult for me to really hone my skill level. So I have one rifle and one optic that I tend to gravitate back towards if I actually want to go do well at a match. But unfortunately, because I'm testing a wide range of equipment, I don't very often get to go out to the range and just concentrate on that match rifle. So you definitely want to select a piece of equipment that is not going to leave any holes, that's going to support your skill level, and that's going to support you for a good time to come, and then train on that piece of equipment, get to know that piece of equipment intimately before you decide, hey, there are some problems and I need to switch it up. Sometimes there will be little things about how something works that will bother you, and that it's kind of like that little piece of sand that works its way in and just grits at you time and time again. And you really have this desire to go to the next piece of equipment, hoping this problem won't exist with the next piece of equipment. But sometimes we're better suited just to learn to live with that little irritation and have that familiarity. Everything's where I know it needs to be, all the buttons are where I need it to be, all the controls are where I need it to be. I know the quirks of it, and learn to live with those quirks instead of just upgrading, hoping to get rid of it. Because I'm going to tell you now, there's no perfect optic, there's no perfect rifle, there's no perfect ballistic computer, there is no perfect piece of gear out there. There are pieces that work better than other pieces for your specific application or your specific budget, but there's no perfect piece of gear, so we're always kind of left wanting more. But in the end, you are correct. It is better to get out and learn to maximize the piece of gear that you have than just constantly upgrading to the next piece of gear. And I really get into that with camera equipment. A lot of times I have a desire to go to the next piece of camera equipment because it has a tiny little feature that I think will be really cool and will help advance what I'm doing, when I would just be better off getting out with the equipment that I have and getting things done. So there's that on both aspects of that. But thank you very much for your question, and I definitely kind of agree with you there. Now, John asks, I'm in the market for eye protection and going nuts trying to decide. I shoot mostly outside, so need sun protection, but I want to be able to change the lens for clear sometimes. I might go inside. Maybe photochromic. What's a good choice these days? Well, John, I've done the photochromic thing in the past. As a law enforcement officer, I'm in varying light conditions all the time. And I thought it would be a really cool idea if I could have a set of photochromic glasses so that when I'm out in the sun, the glasses are dark, they give me some UV protection, some glare protection, and obviously they give me ballistic protection as well. But then when I go inside, say on a fight run, something like that, that I would still have eye protection on my face. And not necessarily for ballistic protection, because we're not shooting a whole lot, but very often for just protection from debris, from dust, from getting spit on, that kind of thing. It's nice to have something covering your eyes. And what I found with photochromic glasses is they are a compromise that I don't really like. Now, again, I'm talking about photochromic sunglasses / safety glasses. I don't wear eyeglasses, so I can't comment on the high-end photochromic lenses that they have in eyeglasses. But what I've found from safety glasses that I've used in the past, when I'm outside, the photochromic don't darken enough to be really good sunglasses in bright sun, and then they don't totally clear out inside. There's always a little bit of a tint inside. A lot of places I'm going inside, I'm going from the bright sun into a dark place with no electricity, poorly lit, with tin foil and cardboard tacked up over the windows. So it's really important when I step through that door that I can instantly see what's going on inside. So the photochromic glasses just didn't work for me. Again, working on an indoor range where you can turn bright lights on, you may be able to get away with them, but you still knock down a little bit of that light level just with that tiny little bit on the photochromic lenses. So at this point, I would say don't waste your money on photochromic lenses. Go with a standard switchable lens system. And what I've been working with for a while are the Oakley Tombstones. Oakley was nice enough to hand these over to us at SHOT a couple of years back, and I have really put quite a bit of use on them. I haven't actually got a review done. Now, these are engineering samples. These are not the actual production version, but they really didn't change anything from the engineering samples to the production version. What the difference is the production version, actually, I think the ear stems are a little bit tighter than the issue that I have with the engineering samples. Now, I've got the clear lens on these right now, and this is the Tombstone kit. And there are two different lens styles for them, so depending upon how much coverage you want, you can get two different styles. The thing that I really like about these is they come in a really nice box, so it's easier for me to throw these in the back of the car. Now, they obviously take up quite a bit of space if you're keeping them in a pack, but for throwing them in a car, they're fine. They come with a cleaning bag, they come with some cleaning solution and a rag, and they actually have slots in here for extra lenses, so if you want to choose a different lens tint, you can. And this set came to me with the two different prism lens tints, and these are actually all nasty now. They've got a little bit of white spray paint on them from Shooting Steel Challenge, but the way they come, they each have nose pieces attached, and then the ear stems are quickly removable, so you can pop the ear stems off, take this lens, drop it back in here, and say now I go from indoor to I'm going to be shooting outdoor in cloudy conditions. I can choose the lighter of the two prism lenses, snap my ear stems on, and they do actually collapse like normal glasses. So you can put them in a more compact case if you wish, but we can put them on, and now I can go out and shoot in a cloudy condition. And again, if it's really, really bright sunlight, then I can switch to the darker prism lens. Now, really, I have grown to really, really enjoy the prism lenses from Oakley. And this episode isn't endorsed by Oakley other than kicking me the kit. Oakley hasn't sponsored this in any way. I do have two other sets of Oakley glasses that I purchased that have prism lenses in them. I've got a couple of pairs of 5 squareds, and the 5 squareds are actually my daily patrol glasses that I wear. They seem to stick to my head a little bit better than the Tombstones when I'm not wearing ear pro, but the Tombstones seem to work really well when I'm wearing ear pro, because the ear pro helps anchor them to the side and the ear stems are fairly narrow. Now, because these are kind of a frameless design, they work really well when I'm using a rifle scope, because when my head tilts a little bit to the side and I'm looking through the center section of the lens here, I don't have a frame to get in the way. Sometimes with the 5s, depending upon the stock configuration and the rifle scope, I can get shadowing through the rifle scope because I'm trying to look through the corner of the frame. So I really like these in situations where I have to shoot magnified optics and wear eye probe. Now, for my regular daily use, I find the 5 squareds with the prism lenses, those work really, really well in varying light conditions. Now, I still wouldn't wear them indoors in the dark because there is some tint to them, but what I thought was really cool is the prism tint seems to work great when we go into the dusk hours, when the sun is starting to set and you get that little period of time where it's still too bright to go without glasses, but it's too dark to go with really dark shades. And just something about the prism lenses, how they cut down the blue spectrum a little bit. They work very well. It's almost like the blue blocker commercials way back in the day, but these take it even a step further. The science has advanced greatly, and I find I really, really enjoy wearing the prism lenses. Now, I have to be careful because your eyes will kind of automatically balance for tinted lenses. So when I'm doing photography and video work, I have to be careful, because when I switch on and off, when I take the prisms off, then the natural light looks a little bit more blue, a little cooler than it actually is. But for shooting, it's really a non-issue. It works very well when I'm working with orange front sights on my handguns. They still stand out really, really bright with the prism lenses on. So I would definitely say check in to the Oakley Tombstones, and if you don't want to shell out the cash for the full Tombstone kit, which it is fairly expensive, then take a look at some of their different options with the prism lenses. I think you'll find that they work really, really well for these shooting sports. The Tombstones are actually one of Oakley's first offerings that were specifically designed for shooting sports. They do military and law enforcement glasses for quite some time, but this is the first one designed at shooting sports. They also have their Oakley SI, the Oakley Standard Issue program. So if you are active military or law enforcement, check out the Oakley SI program. You can get some significant discounts on Oakley gear, and sometimes you can get some exclusive models that will work better in uniform than some of their brighter, shinier models. And we'll leave a link to that down below. Our last question comes from Kim, and Kim says, painting guns, Cerakote, Duracoat, or other? Well, Kim, I've had a really, really good result with Cerakote. I don't actually paint Cerakote or Duracoat myself, but things that I have had the baked-on Cerakote applied to have worked very, very well. It seems to be a very long wearing finish. I've got a suppressor that was Cerakoted more than probably on 10 years now, that's been used pretty harshly in a work environment. And it works very well. The coating obviously on the ends has been burnished to the point where it's worn through, but hey, now it's a cool battle-worn look, right? But the Cerakote works very well when it's professionally applied. Obviously, if you have someone who doesn't know what they're doing, then you can run into all kinds of other issues. I've talked to some other people who do coat guns, and they seem to like Duracoat for ease of application. It seems like Cerakote may be a little bit more difficult to apply, especially in the baked on finish versus Duracoat. But the end result, I've seen Cerakote works very, very well. Now for my needs, if I'm not having something professionally coated, then I'll just break out the Krylon and I will paint my guns with Krylon because it's usually a temporary kind of thing. Camouflage changes consistently, so if you're actually using spray paint to camouflage guns, then it's something that when the seasons change, when the environment change, depending upon where you're going, you'll want to refinish that gun. And Krylon is very easy to spray on. We're not looking for a magazine cover finish, so if there's some drips or some runs or some things like that, if you screw up a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. And Krylon strips off easily with acetone, so when you are done with that project and you need to change up, or you've laid enough layers on that you want to strip stuff off, then you can use acetone and strip it all off and go back to factory fresh. However, Krylon has limited corrosion resistance compared to Cerakote or Duracoat. So those guys, if you really want a corrosion resistant finish, then check into those. For me, if I want a gun to have corrosion resistance, then I will go with Cerakote. I'll have the gun coated with Cerakote. And then if I want camouflage on top of that, I'll use something like Krylon to break the pattern up on top of the Cerakote, because when I go to use acetone and strip it off, the acetone won't touch the Cerakote, but it will strip off all the Krylon. So it's a really great middle-of-the-road thing. You can have your base color sprayed in Cerakote, and then you can come back and you can use your top colors to break up the pattern sprayed in Krylon, and then change that as you want. Obviously, you really want to be careful about any of those finishes around optics. Baked on Cerakote finishes, some of the other baked on finishes may not play well with optics, so make sure you always check with the scope manufacturer and check with the professional applier that you are using to make sure that you're going to be able to coat the item that you want to coat. So that's it for our questions. We do have a couple of housekeeping things that I want to cover here real quick. And first of all, we have gotten a ton of questions on the whole YouTube anti-gun channel kind of issue, and I want to address that really quickly. I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as I can because I'm sure a lot of you guys just really don't care. First of all, over the last couple of months, we have seen a 60% drop in our revenue. A lot of you guys don't know the way that we get revenue for this show is those ads that you see that you run before and after, and sometimes the little pop-ups that show up down there below if you're not running any kind of ad blocking software. Those are part of Google's AdSense program, and when those ads appear, when you guys see those ads, we get paid a fraction of a cent based upon that. Well, that helps us pay for equipment that we use on the show, travel, all that stuff that actually comes from producing this. Believe it or not, we have a very expensive camera that is actually filming this right now. We had to invest in another camera to be able to get different angles out at the range and to be able to run and gun a little bit quicker. And those are all significant costs that I really can't afford on my day job salary. So we use that AdSense revenue to help offset that. And over the year, we've tried to keep our costs fairly low. We don't use super high professional Hollywood grade equipment. We try to stick with the prosumer stuff because it gets the job done and gets you guys what you want to see. But with the significant drop in AdSense, that really hurt us. Now, some other gun channels were commenting that they were having videos what are called demonetized. When I put this video up, I have the option to select if I want them to run ads on it or if I don't want them to run ads on it. If I want them to run ads on it, it has to comply with certain YouTube policies as far as the content of the videos. Those of you guys that have watched this for a long time know I run a clean show here. I try my best not to use any foul language. I want this to be a show that you can sit down with your son, with your daughter, with your mother, with your wife, and watch the show and feel comfortable that I'm not going to say anything improper. So we try to keep the show polite, we try to keep the show clean, and that's going to continue as much as I can. I think some of that may have helped us avoid some of the demonetization that some of the other channels have seen. Google kind of got into a little bit of an issue where they were running ads on some video content that advertisers did not want their product associated with. Some violent stuff, some terrorist stuff, some extremist stuff, and so that caused some issues, and I'm not going to get into the internal stuff because I'm not really privy to it. I'm just now speaking on what I understand has happened. So a lot of the advertising caused a problem. Some of those dollars dropped, and that's why we saw a great drop-off in advertising revenue. Now, to try to fix that, I think Google kind of took a knee-jerk reaction and went the extreme opposite direction. And there was a lot of content out there, not just gun channels, but some of the other communities saw their content demonetized. Their videos were removed from the AdSense program because Google didn't feel that they complied with their best interests for the AdSense program. Thankfully, none of our videos got demonetized. I was watching very closely, and all of ours stayed in the green. The ads continued to run on them, but we just saw that extreme drop in what we were actually getting paid for those views. Now, this has caused us to step back and kind of take a look at what we're doing to support the show, and you guys are going to see some changes going forward. We are getting ready to bring on a sponsor for Mail Call Mondays, so we will have a corporate sponsor for the show, so you'll see us mention that coming up soon. We're not selling out, we're not doing anything different. We will still evaluate equipment as unbiased as I possibly can, regardless of who is helping us actually pay the bills. And that's mainly because I don't rely on this to actually pay my bills in my personal life. I have a full-time career, and I try to work this in as my second career. So don't worry, we're not going to start talking some corporate line because we bring on a corporate sponsor. Means that we have somebody that believes in what we do. They like the show and they want to support us. They're not coming in trying to change anything. So you'll notice that I don't have any hard firm date on when we're going to start that, but that will be coming soon. And the other thing that we have is we are considering starting a Patreon channel. For those of you guys that don't know what Patreon is, go to patreon.com and we'll leave a link down below and you guys can check it out. Some of you have asked in the past about Patreon and we just haven't had anything set up. I've had time since then to do a little bit more research into it, and it may be something that we look at in order to fund some additional content for you guys that want to be Patreon supporters. We are going to keep Mail Call Mondays and our reviews free. That will never change. I'm not going to go put everything behind a paywall. I don't think that works well. You guys are what has gotten us to the point that we're at now. So I think it's very, very important to keep our content free and to keep it as high quality as we possibly can. But I also see some aspects where we can improve some things and we can offer some greater benefit in exchange for helping us to continue to support the show. So if that's something you guys are interested in, please go ahead and leave a comment down in the comment section below. Do you think Patreon would bring some value to you guys, our viewers, in return for helping us to increase our production value and to keep this thing going? And then lastly, a lot of you guys have asked us about podcasts. Some of you that don't have the time to sit down in front of the computer and watch us here on YouTube, or you're not YouTube Red subscribers, so you're not able to fire up a video or download a video and then kick off the video portion of it and just listen to the audio. We are looking at doing a podcast. We haven't brought a sponsor on yet for the podcast. Generally, there is a little bit added expense involved in podcasting, and again, we just lost a sizable chunk of YouTube revenue, so we're trying to keep expenses low, but I'm trying to look at how we can do a podcast and do it in the most economical way possible. If it's not something you guys are interested in, obviously I'm not going to waste my time doing it, but I think it may be some added value to those of you guys that are on the road a lot, that are driving to and from matches maybe, or driving to and from your regular job on a long commute. I think that could help us to get our content to you and do so in a little bit safer manner. So if you guys would like to see us put out a podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, those different possibilities, please let me know, and let me know how you consume podcasts down in the comments below so we can look at those different ways of publishing podcasts. Well, that's all we have for this Mail Call Mondays. If you want to watch more of our content, we are trying to get back on a regular production schedule, so we do deliver Mail Call Mondays on every Monday, so check in and check us out. If you have a question that you would like us to answer on Mail Call Mondays, leave it down in the comment section below or send it to us on Facebook or Twitter. If you like the video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Clicking that little subscribe button helps you get notified when we release new content. And until next time, get out and shoot!